Welcome! No onions, no tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
I like to say tomatoes. I think we should change our name.
Every now and then you got to keep it fresh, right?
Right?
Yeah, let's keep it fresh.
All right. Tomatoes. You say tomato.
What's up, folks?
I say tomato.
Move all this stuff out of the way. What are we doing?
Recap.
All right, we're talking some NASCAR, baby.
Recap of.
It was the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 at Loudoun, New Hampshire last week.
And we're going to have a new winner.
Not any of the big three.
None of the big three are going to win. Who won?
Is Kevin Harvick in the big three?
Oh, crap. He's part of the big three.
Well, what about second place? So second place is...
Second place is going to be somebody fresh. And second place is...
Is Kyle Busch part of the big three?
Oh, crap. He's part of the big three.
Fourth place.
Okay, fourth place, a newcomer.
Martin Truex Jr.
Oh no, that's part of the big three.
They dominated, right? So this race was, I won't say exciting, but the last 15 laps was a battle. It was a heavyweight fight between Harvick and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is trying to hold him off. Harvick is obviously faster. He hunts him down. Lap 295, gives Kyle a little, gave him a little shove. Shoved him out of the way and just drove away to the victory. He only led 12 laps, but he led 12 to count, and especially that last one that really counts.
But we had a lot of drivers lead some laps.
We had 7 drivers that led double-digit laps, which is good for the sport. That's really good, right?
And we had Almirola running strong. But what happened?
Oh, he had a bad pit stop. And then we had Brad Keselowski is another driver. I'm just going to mention him because he's my driver. He had his brakes failed. Here's a common theme that we're having: the big three are doing what? Not making mistakes.
That's true.
Or when they do make mistakes, they're able to rebound, man.
It's
Resilience.
not costly. It's not costly.
Not costly. Eric Almirola, bad pit stop, and to add to that, a bad restart. That also cost him. And man, you can't make these mistakes against these drivers, against Harvick, Busch, or Truex Jr.
And so Chevy, who's been kind of on
the bow tie,
a sleep mode.
Did they wake up? They wake those Camaros up?
Yeah. So they
start those things.
They had 3 in the top 10.
That's okay.
Which is pretty big because they haven't done that this year.
True. Yeah. So they had Chase Elliott. They had Ryan Newman. And then they had Jimmy Johnson with a top 10 showing.
Jimmy still races?
I think that was Jimmy Johnson. That was his first top 10 of the year too.
So we'll give you a rundown of the top 10. We had Martin Truex win stage 1.
Okay.
Chase Elliott win stage 2.
Yep.
And Kevin Harvick win the race. Followed by Kyle Busch, Eric Almirola, Martin Truex, Chase Elliott, Ryan Newman, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. There you go.
So how does our points shake out after that?
Oh, so now we got Kevin Harvick throwing down the gauntlet, and now has 6 wins comparatively to Kyle with the 5 wins, and he has 32 playoff points now compared to Kyle with 30.
All right, and Harvick lost points earlier in the year, and so this would even be more big.
Yeah, so if this, he lost 7 playoff points, so he should, by all rights, have 39.
Right. But for the overall point standing, because how many races are we to the end of the regular season?
I mean, we're getting close. This is race 21 we're going into this week, so we got 6 races.
Okay, and so Kyle right now leads Harvick with 53 points. So
yeah, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. It's a little bit more than that, but go ahead.
All right, so that's about it for...
That's about it. There was a little bit of separation down in the 16th spot, between 15th and 16th, between Alex Bowman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had some trouble, and Alex Bowman was able to get a decent finish, and he separated himself. And again, we know that 16th place is going to be a cutoff.
Might I say it's just karma? Ever since Daytona, you guys have been doing too well?
Absolutely.
All right, so where are we going this week?
We are going back to the tricky triangle of Pocono, Long Pond. So we were just here back in June 3rd. Cup ran here, and I'm gonna say that the big 3 couldn't have done that well here.
No, I bet you they didn't.
Let me see.
All right.
They finished first, third, and fourth. Martin Truex was your winner, correct?
Yes. And Harvick won stage 2, and Martin Truex won stage 1.
Right.
And so, just as a reminder, folks, it's a 2.5 mile tri-oval. Only 3 turns, no 4 turns. That's why it's a triangle.
Right.
So, Truex won with 18 and 15, third and fourth, like you said, and Harvick led the most laps with 89.
89 laps led, and that was it was pretty. It was a pretty commanding win by Truex at the end, though.
Yes.
So he was actually driving away from the competition. One other thing we have to remember about Pocono is that, remember, there is shifting.
Oh.
If you look down here, you see that Bubba Wallace finished 38 due to an engine failure because he missed a shift. So like when they're shifting, they're going into first, second, they're going into third, into fourth. Well, he put it into second and just cooked the engine.
Didn't the King said they were going to get him an automatic?
Yes, that's right. He did say that. It's funny.
Okay, so lots have gone on.
Lots going on. So we're going to move past that. So you guys know what happened. You guys know who the favorites are going to be going into this week. Let's go into yesterday. So this week, NASCAR rolled out again for the second time their impound race policy, which was last done at Chicago. This is where there's no racing for Cup on Friday. They do practice and qualify on Saturday, right?
Right.
But what happens? Well, what doesn't happen? The cars do not get inspected until after qualifying.
I'm sure that worked out fine.
Well, at Chicago it worked out fine because only 3 cars failed post-race inspection.
Post-qualifying
inspection, yes.
So, similar in Pocono this week? No. Okay, so they have qualifying. Who gets the pole?
Harvick.
Who's second?
Kyle Busch.
That's not true anymore. To the back. So, we had 13 cars.
13 of the 40 cars entered in the race failed
post-qualifying inspection. Mm-hmm. So we have a whole new lineup for the top 10 to go into qualifying.
Right.
And so who's on the pole now is Suarez, and he originally qualified 3rd.
Right.
And then you have Hamlin is P2, originally P7. Eric Jones, 3rd. Keselowski, 4th. Jamie McMurray, 5th, originally qualified P10th. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch.
Now Kurt Busch is the line of demarcation.
Right, because so he's 7th now.
Yeah, he qualified. He will start 7th. Now,
however,
in the final stage of qualifying, because there's 3 stages, only the top 12 cars, as far as speed, actually go out and turn laps. So he qualified P13. He wasn't even in the final 3.
7, 8, 9, 10 were not in the final.
Yeah, so you have Kurt Busch 7th, P13 actually, Martin Truex Jr. 8th, P14 actually, Ryan Newman 9th, P16 actually, and followed by a double up right here. Alex Bowman will be starting 10th. He qualified P20th.
20th. He qualified 20th, and now he's 10th.
So NASCAR's contends that, hey, there were 27 cars that could do it right. The other 13 can as well. And then NASCAR points to that last impound race where only 3 cars failed that post-qualifying inspection. Great logic. Totally different track, though, and totally different setup. Right? Right.
And so now you're trying to still get inspected, and people still aren't.
Yes. So every time you go through, it's more of a penalty every time you go through the inspection station.
And don't qualify.
And your car does not pass inspection. So what happens is NASCAR, you go through, they do the measurements, and if you fail, you go back to your garage, you can make adjustment, tinker, tweak, and then come back. Well, we had 4 drivers. We had Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Paul Menard, and Casey Kane. They have their car chiefs ejected for failing twice. Right? So and just to give you guys an idea, the car chief is right under the crew chief. He's like in football, he would be like the offensive coordinator. He's calling the plays on the field. He's getting dirty with the other workers. Mm-hmm. So it's a big deal for your car chief to be gone. And then we had Harvick and Kane. they also receive a 10-point penalty for failing 3 times before passing on the 4th.
Way to go, Harvick.
Not a big deal for Casey Kane, who's back in, I believe, 27th in points, right?
So when I look up here and I see Kyle Busch is 53 ahead of Harvick, now you're saying he's 63 points ahead.
Yes.
That's a big deal, man.
Add another 10 points to that.
How many points has he lost this year?
He lost 25 in that. So 25. He's lost 35 points. So that right there is a big. He literally should be minus 16 right now. 16 behind Kyle.
Stop cheating, Harvick.
That's what happened. So now, hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So 13 cars are gonna go to the rear of the field, and it's gonna be. It literally has inverted the field. The faster cars are in the back.
So what's gonna be a little more fun this time is watching all these cars.
Yes. Don't miss it. Don't miss the beginning part of this race. It's going to be something to see.
Okay.
Quickly, let's go. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Kyle Busch.
Oh, I'd love to talk about Kyle Busch.
So Kyle Busch wins a truck race, right?
Wins the truck race last night,
and he now has 191 career wins. You want to break down that?
Yes, and wins? So he has 51 in truck. 92 in Xfinity, and 48 in Cup. Now, I made the mistake of reading to you today messages on the message board.
Right.
Which he's warned me and cautioned me, don't read the comments because people are stupid. Because they are.
Well, except for if you guys comment on our thing, then you guys aren't stupid. We don't.
And my comments are genius. And so, what's going to happen in 9 races, in 9 more wins across the series when he ties the king, Richard Petty?
In theory, he will tie Richard Petty with wins. No one's counting it, though, because Richard Petty, all of his wins were, in theory, in Cup Series, okay?
And some variation of the Cup, because you read them off to me. Sometimes they race 60 races, 50 races. Exactly.
So the King started racing in 1958. There were some years where they raced as many as 62 times. Up until the late 70s, they were racing almost 50 times a year. And of course, he was dominating.
Yes.
Superior equipment. He was dominating, but there was no lower series, so they would race 2-3 times a week sometimes.
And so, what happened later in the career, though? That was shocking to me.
Yeah, no wins for the King after 1984 in Cup,
and he
retired in 1992. So once the Cup Series got down to around that 30 to 36 races a year, and there were no wins for the King. Now he is still the King, and I love Richard Petty, but I think that this is more about Kyle Busch and speaking to his talent and not listening to the people who say, "Oh, I don't like him." This guy is a tremendous race car driver, one of the best ever.
And check out the stats of how quickly he got to the 51 wins versus Ron Hornaday.
Ron Hornaday, who's widely considered the best truck racer ever.
He won it in less than half the
time.
That's the time.
Yeah, and then in Xfinity, he has 92, like you said. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest Xfinity driver. If you ask people, they will say Mark Martin.
Right.
Mark Martin has 42 wins. Kyle has 92.
Anyway. Just recognize people.
Just recognize greatness. And I know people just don't like Kyle. They just don't like Kyle. But you can not like somebody but respect them. I didn't like Joe Montana growing up when I was a Rams fan. He was beating the brakes off of us, and Jerry Rice. But I respected their talent, man. Greatness cannot be denied.
That's right. Just like us. We're great. We can't be denied.
Will not be denied.
No onions. No tomatoes.
Yeah, that's what we're on tomatoes,
right? We're on tomatoes.
Hey, listen. We love you guys. We really appreciate you guys following us and supporting us through this endeavor. And again, we're not stopping, man. We're at race 21. It's getting ready to go down here in about 15 minutes. We got to get this uploaded. We're going to be a little bit late. Hey, peace out. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.